Welcome back inside the film room. I'm Zach Goins, and today I'm joined by your favorite footballer's favorite footballer. It's Phil Dunster. He plays Jamie Tartt on Apple TV Plus's Emmy-winning comedy Ted Lasso. Phil, happy finale day. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Recovered from the sadness of the show. Watching the show last night, the finale.
There's sadness, there's tears, but there's a lot to celebrate. Congratulations, not on this show, but more importantly, you are the first person to ever be a four-timer on Inside the Film Room. This is our fourth round together. You beat out Nick, you beat out Tahib, so this is your biggest award of the day.
It's the only accolade I care about, frankly. Get me in the film room.
I love it. But in all seriousness, congrats on this show. Season 3 coming to a close. The series potentially coming to a close. We still don't know, but does it feel real yet? Has it all sunk in that this is out there in the wild?
Yeah, I think it has. I think certainly when we finished filming it, it felt like that was a big, that was hard to comprehend because it hadn't finished yet. It hadn't, like, the series hadn't finished yet. And, I know that you would have seen that the culmination of a story arc that was written, it's not necessarily the end of the show, as we don't know.
Right.
But certainly, like, at the closing of a chapter, it definitely feels very strongly like that. And, I feel like it's a culmination of so many people's, like, huge efforts, that I'm glad that it is out there. And, it seems to have struck a chord with people again.
Absolutely. And your character specifically, Jamie Tartt. I mean, a lot of the sentiment from fans online has been, if you had told me back in season 1 that Jamie Tartt was going to be my favorite character by the end of all this, I would have said you were crazy. And here we are, 3 seasons along, and that is the absolute truth. Were you expecting, back in season 1, this sort of roller coaster of a ride? How much of this was mapped out to you as like a big picture? How much was season to season that you're learning along with us?
None of it. I knew nothing about it because we didn't. I mean, if you think about it, we hadn't had it hadn't been commissioned for 3 seasons. There was only one.
Right.
So all that we knew that we were doing was that first season, and even then, I think Jason was quite careful not to give anybody too many roadmaps to where they're going. I think that he was conscious that he didn't want to make it too obvious for us because, as I say, none of us know what we're doing tomorrow or, the week after or the year after. So it would be weird it's hard as an actor sometimes because you would just know in terms of how you'd know where you're going and stuff like that. But sort of big picture, it wasn't something that was like all mapped out. And yeah, I think that Jason and Joe and Brendan, who are the creators, knew where it would vaguely end up, but how they got there, I don't think they were quite 100% sure and certain on that until they started writing season 2 and season 3.
Got it. I think I love that because I feel like the way that you played this character, like we could genuinely feel and see the growth along the way. And if you had known, early on that, hey, this is where Jamie's going to end up, there could have been hints or the way that you do something may not have been as genuine. But there's so many great moments for Jamie this season, to name a few: apologizing to Keeley, the relationship with Roy and learning to ride a bike, his moments with his mom, wearing number 24 for Sam, just so many. Is there one that sticks out to you as the epitome of just showing this growth that Jamie has gone through?
Oh, that's interesting. In terms of the growth that he's gone through, I wonder if there's something, it's probably something to do with Roy. I mean, certainly we see with Keeley, but he's always been like his most emotionally like mature self with her, even when he's been like, season 1 Jamie. He's still like trying to communicate in a sort of caveman way. But I think that the epitome of it is it's just with the rest of the team. I think the moments,
total football of it all.
Yeah, and I think probably the bit where he's going to the whiteboard to show people this is what total football is, and it's not from a place of arrogance. It's not from a place of like showmanship. It's just like, I think I'm an asset to this team, and I think I can help the team by doing this. And I think that he only really realizes that when he turns around and he sees the whole team there, and he's like, oh wow, this is what being a part of the team feels like. I can be elevated, but also I'm still just very much part of the.
Right. And I love even, I listed off some of those big moments throughout the season, but even in this final episode, there's so many just like small details that show it. I love the hat from icon to icog, and then the fact that the announcers are talking about him being the central cog here. It's just so everything comes together. And then I love, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe this was intentional, maybe it wasn't, but giving up the PK to Danny, is that a callback to the initial shootout when we first meet these two and the fact that Danny beat him? Jamie was upset about it at that point. Or is this just me being big brain and making connections that are not real?
I mean, you'd have to ask writers, to be fair. They're the brains behind it all. But I think that certainly we saw Jamie in season 2 give the penalty to Danny when they played against Brentford at the end of season 2. But again, it's a continuation of, this is to win them the Premier League, and it's like the highest glory, the most potential for glory that Jamie has had in his career. And again, there's a moment where he gives it to Danny, and then Danny gives it to.
It didn't stick with Danny for long, but
yeah. But you mentioned that, but there are so many brilliant little nuggets in there of callbacks, and I think Jason enjoys those anyway. Loves those little references, and like self-referential bits, which are just are really tasty.
Yeah,
and the season opens. That's one. The season opens on Nick's, on his close-up of his face, and the season closes on a close-up of Jason's face.
And we had the selling of the decoy play as well. That was another great one. The way that you acted your ass off, just like Ted did. But
yeah.
Outside of these individual moments, I think there's a lot of great vessels for showing the growth that Jamie has gone through. One of them, you mentioned Roy. We'll get to him in a second. But Zava coming in as a brand new character and sort of being the old Jamie, the anti-Jamie of what we've got now, and sort of being this like rude awakening for him to realize, who would ever want to be teammates with a guy like that? Oh wait, that was me, and then forcing him into the new direction here. But I just love he wasn't here for long, but he came in, made that impactful difference, and sent Jamie on his way.
Oh man, he was wicked. He was so good, and also nice. Come season 3, even though we all love each other and we so enjoy being in each other's, like, knowing the pace of each other, it was so nice to have someone just come in and just whoa. And he was so great, Max. He's a very, very good actor.
Was it hard to be on as Jamie, the person who's not bought in? Because obviously Max is just like hysterical in this as this character, and you're having to be the one that's the straight face, like this is stupid, where everybody else is just eating it up the whole time.
But I suppose it's probably the most logical response to have to somebody who is as ridiculous as Zava. So I suppose it was easy from that sense. But it's again, it's a callback to how we saw when Danny turned up, when Jamie's response to Danny, a supposed excellent player who's just as good as Jamie, and with that he has to beat him in order to feel vindicated. But when Zava comes along, we see those sliding doors moments where he feels like his goal has to be to ingratiate Zava into the team to feel vindicated, which is the total opposite. So yeah, there's really good parallels, and I think that Jamie's journey, along with many other characters, but Jamie's journey is a good barometer for how Ted's message is getting across, I think.
Right. And Ted's message got to Roy, then Roy worked with Jamie here throughout this season. But those two, you and Brett together are just brilliant on screen. And I honestly think that the Amsterdam episode, Sunflowers, where we get you two together and the adventure through the city, the riding of the bikes, it's probably some of my favorite scenes of this entire show. And I love what it does with flipping the script of Jamie so often is the one learning from other people, whether it's Keeley or Ted or Roy, that now you're not only teaching him how to ride a bike, but shocking amounts of history about Amsterdam. And you're the one who's like obviously relishing in the flip of the script there. So were you, Phil Dunster, relishing in that new aspect of Jamie Tartt as much as the actual character was, just getting to kind of be a smartass with Roy a bit?
Yeah. It was good. It's about time, I thought. It's about time. that switch. Yeah, I think that it's at the heart of any good relationship is when people know when to be a teacher and when to be taught by somebody. And I think that that's a really nice, I think that's a really nice asset or attribute in their relationship is learning that. Not always fully getting it right, but yeah, no, you're right. He is, by his profession, he is the coach, Roy. And then it comes down to this other physical skill that he needs to learn. And it's really nice to see that, it's good to see that flipped on its head. Because I think it's the fun thing of again, with Jamie, he's so seldom a teacher because he doesn't really know how to look after himself. So yeah, he's now at a point where he feels like he can impart some knowledge. It's good.
Is it more fun for you as Phil Dunster to play a dick with Roy, or is it more fun to play that reluctant best friend that we see a lot of here? Because you've had both throughout the show.
Yeah, I mean, what about what's more fun? Because they're both of them is just trying to kind of jovially put each other off as best as we can. But I think that I like it when we're friends because it's much easier to do because I love him very much, so that makes it easy.
Not as much acting involved, but as a viewer, I love it both ways. So I'll be happy with either answer there. But I know a lot of viewers. There's a lot of fandoms out there. A lot of people that are on the Ted Becca fandom and the Sam Becca or Roy Keeley. A late possibility here was really pushing for this bromance to turn into a romance between Jamie and Roy. Were you aware of any sort of fans begging for this? Because obviously the connection is there. Were you pushing for it, or even maybe
I was the one who was. Yeah. You go through all those Twitter feeds, mate. You'll see that they're mine, boy.
I personally was big into the Roy Jamie Keeley thruple. I very much thought that could be a possibility here, but unfortunately, it's left open ended. So I choose to believe that.
It's on. I've heard tell of certain fan fiction stories about them, and I've read a couple, and I'm like, oh man, this is X-rated, and I was thrilled
send
to be
my way, okay?
yeah, okay.
But no, those three. I'm very glad to see this. We obviously had the back and forth, the fist fight between Jamie and Roy at the end here, but to see them in that flash forward at the cookout, all still as this big family unit, still, it's brought a little tear to my eye. It was a great ending for them.
How far they've come. Yeah, I think what we're looking at on the phone, some really stupid meme we were looking at, and I kept bringing it up to him.
You're reading fan fiction, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Very good.
Oh, well, can we please take a second here to talk about the So Long Farewell number? Because what a absolute high note to send this show out on with that in the finale. Obviously a throwback to the Bye 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 choreography. And I think Jamie Tartt was more fit for, you would think, based on the personality, that he was very much more of a boy band kind of guy. But you were in there on that Broadway number, and it was very, very fantastic. I was impressed.
It's funny how, again, that was one of the things that Jason really loved, the quirk of these young footballers, 20-year-old lads who just know these weird references to 80s American TV or Caravaggio or different Renaissance artists, and show tunes. But this was, I think, a lot more, the choreography was far more simple on this because I think previously it had been quite difficult for people to pick up. So
to tone it down a little bit this season.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I guess it's probably a product of the players all being football players, that they're, no matter what they're doing, they're going 100% trying to perfect it. And it's so, I love how serious you all are about this. And then when Ted says that it's perfect, you would think you just won the Premier League then with everybody's reactions. How much of that was acting and how much was thank God we finally got the take right. This is it. We nailed it.
That was, I mean, when you're at drama school, they really teach you how to project from your diaphragm. There was zero diaphragm in that. It was all just it was, that was just again, you just got a group of lads who are all silly with each other. And so that was just the perfect way to do it. And also there's quite a few of those moments when they do the high boss when they're all lying down on the floor and they're And then they have it as well at the end of the NSYNC one. But yeah, that was a big one because they had a drone shot on that, I remember, and they would, every time they finished, we ran over, and we're just trying to all be as ridiculous as we could be each time.
Uh-huh. Well,
Yeah.
it absolutely was ridiculous, and we appreciate you for it. I know we can't talk Jamie Tartt without talking Poupe. Obviously, that was a highlight of this season. And I think I love that people are so thrown off when they hear Phil Dunster talk because they're just so used to that accent. But was there between, Poupe, we got Holy Guacamole at the end. I can't even give that the Jamie Tartt treatment, but Keeley, disgusting, all of these words. Is there one that sticks out to you as a favorite that you put the Jamie Tartt's twist on?
I mean, Poopy's got to be up there, man. I mean, how stupid is that we managed to get Poopy in there? That is so silly.
I love that it came up in that first episode, and we got maybe 2 or 3 other Poopes throughout the season. It was yeah. The gift that keeps on giving.
I mean, sexy little baby, and then to have that then come back from season 1 to then to hear Leanne, Jamie's mum, say it to him, it's just chef's kiss, man. Very, very silly that she like, you're not lost, my sexy little baby.
And the ugly boy, or what you say in season 1 or season 2. It's
yeah,
so much to go around. I love it all.
That's good. It's good.
Well, Phil, last question for you here. I know the end, who knows? There's a lot of stuff, talk of spin-offs, talk of continuations. Like you said, the chapter is closed, but who knows? Give me your best pitch for a Ted Lasso spin-off. It could involve Jamie, could not. What do you think that they could cook up here?
Isaac McAdoo. He is a still life drawing model.
Okay.
And he uses it to infiltrate circles of crime, of gangs.
Okay.
And he's a vigilante. He's the last person you'd expect to be someone who's really who's got sort of nefarious desires, but he always gets them in the end.
I mean, I'm sold. Sign me up.
And he's always naked. Even scenes when he shouldn't be naked, they're always like, he's like, it's my thing, man.
Whether naked or, I personally prefer him in those extravagant costumes we see in the locker room, the Santa, the judge that we got here. But
you see, that's the thing, is that in the background of the shots, he's always like, all the clothes that he's taken up, he's hung up so you can see them in the back.
You can see the costume still, but okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Apple, let's make it happen. Get your people on that. But Phil, thank you so much. This is always a blast talking with you. Congratulations on this show and everything that's to come. I know Emmy season is right around the corner, and I will be on Twitter leading the campaign. It's much deserved, and I just appreciate everything that you've done for this show.
You, man. Well, you've been there since the start, so I'm very glad that I'm the first 4th timer.
Of course. Let's make it happen. Who knows what show or what series, but we'll have you back for number 5 at some point, okay?
Good. All right, dude. It's great to speak to you, man.